Al Franken's First Amendment that he had introduced and passed involved, well, it was a rape case. A woman had been raped and then forced to work with her gang rapists at, I believe it was KBR, and she tried to sue, found out she couldn't get her day in court because she had signed a binding arbitration agreement that said any kind of workplace discrimination claims had to be taken to binding arbitration. 30 senators, including yourself, voted against the Franken Amendment, which would have prevented the United States government from contracting with any corporation or company that forced their employees to sign these binding arbitration agreements. I noticed that all 30 of them were men. That's what the criticism is right now, that all the Republican women had voted for this amendment. And I wanted to know why you voted against that amendment. Why don't these women deserve their day in court?
Very specifically, to carry out the military operations that we have today, we're reliant tremendously on independent contractors, individuals who contract with the Department of Defense. And they go into this with a set of rules that are really prescribed to them by the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense sent a memorandum to Congress, and we're vehemently opposed to the Franken Amendment. And I think for many of us, we made a decision that this was in the Department of Defense purview, that they work with contractors. If contractors had things that were perceived to be unfair or illegal in any way, then it was the Defense Department's obligation to make sure that those contracts were written in a way that didn't discriminate, that gave everybody a fair opportunity to vet differences. There is a mediation process that goes through, and their overall objection to the Franken Amendment was what led me, I can't speak for the other 30, to say that if DOD owns this, then they should take care of it.
Yeah, I saw that the DOD had objected to it, problems with enforcement and all the rest, and their suggestion in the letter that they had sent up to you folks was that if this is a problem, maybe we want to create legislation that says you cannot contract around civil rights legislation. You can't force people into arbitration.
And I think most, if not all of us, have said we would entertain anything that the Department of Defense thought they needed in legislation to clean this up, but the Franken Amendment on its surface.
Well, their job is to win wars. I think that's what they're pretty clear on, and their job isn't enforcement, patrolling these contracts to find out who's inserting these clauses into their employment contracts and all the rest, and they didn't want to be tasked with that. That's what I took from the letter.
No, I took directly something different, that the Department of Defense wants the control of their contractors and the way the contracts are written. And
well, this would be an assertion of control. It's saying that we will not contract with you if you force your employees to sign these agreements. So it would increase the control the Department of Defense has, but their problem was we just can't enforce it. We can't look at all the subcontractors and all the rest.
I understood the paper, the letter that came from the Department of Defense to say, if you pass the Franken Amendment, we will lose every contractor, or basically every contractor we have. And that makes it impossible.
They wouldn't go bankrupt. They wouldn't stop contracting with the United States government. Who else is KBR going to contract with?
That's what the Franken Amendment
Are they going to go to Iran and work for them? One last question, because I know, but you did say that one of the problems was that the military didn't like it. The military didn't like integration either, right?
You have a congressional ID, sir?